Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ankesh, and on behalf of Cambridge University Press and Assessment, I welcome you all to the last session of Maths Masterclass series. Today's topic of the webinar is Scavenger Hunt for Mathematics at Home. This webinar is getting parallelly streamed on our Facebook channel as our previous webinars in this series. In case you face any trouble in audio or face any audio issues or video issues in this particular Zoom platform, you can switch to our Facebook channel to have a glitch-free experience. Otherwise, there is also a troubleshoot option available within the app. As mentioned before, this is a webinar series wherein your access to microphone or cameras are disabled. In case you wish to voice out any of your questions, you can use the chat option. There's also a question and answer tab available where you can post your questions. Time and again, we'll pause the chat in between to share some important information, and we'll prompt out those information during the course of the webinar. Now, let me take the pleasure to introduce our trainer for today, Miss Monica Kocher. Miss Monica Kocher is a maths magician. She has given numbers a heart and an abstract concept a ground to stand upon. She has taken the sting out of mathematics like a doctor who cures maths phobia. Her approaches to mathematics is not only interesting, but more human. She believes maths is not about acquiring the skills of playing with numbers, but a journey that makes you a more rounded person. As per her, maths, when combined with art and poetry, becomes a red-blooded poem, a splash of color, and a game of sports that is played on ground. She has applied these concepts successfully in her long and colorful teaching career, spanning CBSE, ICSE, and IGCSE schools. She has also worked successfully with leading clients over a decade as a solopreneur, winning titles such as LinkedIn Voice of the Year Award and Global Influencer in Education. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Monica Kocher. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ankesh, and thank you for everyone who has joined this webinar. This is the last one, and although it is a webinar, but together as a team, we are making it very, very interactive by the use of chat and Ankesh as the mediator. And today's webinars especially is going to be very, very interactive because we are talking about how can we have kids be like a scavenger hunting for mathematics at home. So to start this whole series is about bringing maths to children by first bringing children to math, which is get the kids to be interested in math while the math is being taken to the kids. Because if they are not interested, then maths becomes a blocker. And by and large, there are a lot of kids who also become afraid of math. And scavenger hunt for mathematics at home is a part of bringing children to math by using the whole ambience of home, presence of family, and everything as an emotional connect to make mathematics much more live and real in the eyes of the children. So the objective is not just to do mathematics, but also to try and bring the families closer, which could be one of the necessities in present and in the coming world as we are moving more and more online. So here we go. So what is a scavenger hunt? So scavenger hunt is not the same as treasure hunt, which we may be used to of. And treasure hunt is something where there are clues, and using the clues, we look for objects. So before we get into that, here is the first activity of the day. And Ankesh, I'm going to need your help here. I'm going to show you objects, pictures, and you'll have to tell me what math is present in this picture. Each picture has objects, and what I'm looking for you is to tell me what kind of math concepts do you see in these images. These are all taken from a home, interior of a home. And Ankesh, for each picture, if you could give us 3 to 4 replies, that would be really great. Thanks for your help.
Ma'am, shapes, color, symmetry.
Yeah.
These are the options.
Okay.
Dimensions, lines, geometrical shapes. 2D
Okay.
and 3D shapes.
Second picture.
Patterns,
Absolutely.
time, perimeter, measurement, area, patterns.
Absolutely. Third picture.
Just a minute. Okay. Save. Surface area.
Yeah. Can you maybe move out of measurement and look at some other topic here? Can you think of smaller kids? Can you think of maybe numbers, a little bit algebra?
Shape, numbers, colors, reflection, area
Yeah,
and
reflection.
perimeter.
Yeah.
Multiplications, angles, rectangular format.
Okay. Fourth picture, let's go outdoors, outside the house, close to the parking lot. What all math is possible? And now let's be a little specific. Area, perimeter, volume will come everywhere because you're building a house. Can you maybe bring certain aspects, certain subtopics now? Looking at the fourth
Fractions.
picture. Okay. Anything else? Anything
Inside
else?
out. Fraction.
Inside out.
Speed.
Yeah. Speed.
Series.
Absolutely. Speed.
Ratio.
Okay. Yeah. Ratio.
Tessellation.
Tessellation, yes, on the floor. Okay.
Distance. Count sorting.
Got it. Fifth picture. Here the family is also in the picture. So how can you have family present along with the house and the objects in the house and think of some math concept that works?
Texture. Number.
Number.
Comparison. Age algebra.
Yeah. Comparison.
Transformation. Tall, short. Word problem. Big and small.
Yeah. Yeah. Now good answers are coming. Word problems can actually
Ordering.
be created.
Heights.
Yeah. Yeah. Last picture. This, I mean, you have to give some really good answers here. What math is present in the kitchen? Or I should ask, what math is not present in the kitchen?
Ratio, proportion.
Okay.
Sorting.
Yeah, sorting.
Fraction again.
Fractions. I was waiting for fractions. You can't cook without fractions. Sorry, what is it?
Fitting, number of food items before and after. Recipe measurement.
Yeah, measurement which is required for recipe.
Calories.
Measuring calories of the food cooked. Okay, so here we can pause now. Thanks, Ankesh, and thanks to the teachers who responded and who probably are still responding. So let's accept that a lot of math is present at home, and therefore the house, the building, and the family can be used as props or as teacher learning material to bring math. And today's session will be how do we do that? So first of all, scavenger hunt is different from treasure hunt. Scavenger hunt is a game and players compete to obtain the most items. This is one of the ways to do. It involves collecting items. Players may already know where the items are. This is really different. Treasure hunt has clues. And players do not know the location of the object. So I may drop a clue on the front door and the players will have to guess, will have to understand the clue, which will be like a puzzle, and go to the next spot to get the next object. And they may not know what it is all about. So we are talking about scavenger hunt, the math scavenger hunt at home. So the question is, why do we need it? For that, I'm going to be showing you a video here. This girl is off on a scavenger hunt for math, but she's doing it outdoors. What I want you to think is, what kind of skills is she using while she is off on a scavenger hunt? And Ankesh, if you can keep an eye, and at the end of the video, you can read out the skills. The video is slightly low in volume, so I'll put up the subtitles. But by and large, watch what she is doing because that's more important.
Hello, this is Latoya Major and welcome to Math Solutions Scavenger Hunt series. Today we're going to be identifying patterns all around us. The first question I want to pose is, what is a pattern?
What is a pattern?
A pattern is a repeated design. So something that occurs over and over again. So the first thing I want to take notice of while I'm out with my family is the pattern right here in this gate. So I noticed that the slates are repeating the same way over and over again to create the gate here. Another pattern I noticed is right here in these tiles. So you'll notice that these tiles are laid in a way that repeats over and over again, and the shape that they used is a square. So squares were put together to create this design. Another pattern I noticed right here in nature is on this flower. So if you take a look at the petals, you'll notice that the petals are occurring or repeating in the same way over and over again to bring together the design of this beautiful flower. The next thing I noticed is right here on this.
So she's looking for patterns, and she's looking for patterns in the outdoors of the house.
Football. So as you're out, maybe you have a football that you're working with, you're playing outside with your siblings, family, or whomever. Take a look at the stitching along the front of the football. So you'll notice that there's a pattern that occurs over and over again to bring together the stitching of the football. If you get a little bit closer, you'll also see that there are a pattern of circles that are occurring over and over again on the leather that creates this football as well. Another design that I noticed is right here on the basketball. So the design that I see is this black line that is repeated over and over again to bring together the design that we're all familiar with on the basketball. And you'll also notice here, just like the football, that these circles are also in the leather that brings together the design as well. Another design that I noticed is right here on the net. So you will see a pattern as I look from the bottom to the top of designs that are pulled together over and over again to create the pattern that makes up this net. So I want you to think about patterns that you notice in your neighborhood, also just anywhere around your house, that you can also post and share with us.
Yeah. So what are the skills that she has used to identify patterns all around? And all the patterns were coming from geometry, some from nature, some from the house, some from the basketball. Ankesh, if you have any answers, would love to hear them.
Observation skill, awareness
Absolutely.
of one's environment, and tessellation.
Tessellation, okay. What are the skills that this girl has used to get? Observation skills, definitely.
Analytical skills, ma'am.
Yeah.
Maths is everywhere. Nothing exists without maths. That's one. Application, demonstration skills.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ankesh and teachers. You covered a lot of them. So just adding some more. Why do we need a scavenger hunt? What are the skills it works on? Building problem solving skills, which I will show you how. For this girl, the problem that she was given was find patterns outside the house. Exercising, you're moving. The children are moving, actually going around and looking for stuff. Expression of ideas. One child may see a pattern in one place, another child may see it in another place. Teamwork with family. If the kids are working with family, like with her, her child was there to help her out. Emotional link to the home. You're looking for things inside the house. You're touching, you're feeling, you're noticing that, your house has so many things. Brings family closer if the family is working together, and it's inexpensive as an activity because you don't really have to create any teacher learning material. Everything is available at home. So these are the skills that we thought of. Anything else anyone would like to add here? Ankesh, if there's anything added, it will be great to hear. Otherwise, we can move on.
Thinking skills, creativity, making connections.
Creativity, yes. Making connections, thinking skills, yeah.
That's it, ma'am.
Okay. So how do we do it? Now that you have understood what is scavenger hunt at home for math, the question is, how do we do it? And here I have 4 ways that you can do scavenger hunt. And at the end of the session, Today, there is a whole list of resources which are used here, which Vandana will be sharing with you. So focus here because this is going to be a highly interactive session. Those of you who are in the habit of taking pictures or screenshots, focus on the webinar because all the resources which are used will come to you today and once again a little later also. So let's do scavenger hunt right now. Look at this object. How many things can you see around you which looks like this? Now, the condition is please do not use memory. Please do not think, oh, I have a box like this in my cupboard or in my drawer. Look around you in the space that you're sitting. And Ankesh, maybe 2 to 3 answers for each question that I'll put on the screen. Teachers, is anyone responding? Can you see anything like this? Like I can see a pen stand that looks like this.
Ma'am, there are a lot of answers. I mean, table, rubric, cube, room, makeup,
okay. Yeah, just
box.
maybe 3 to 4 because I'm going to move to the next one.
Yeah. So Ludo
Okay.
dice, side table, dice, clock.
Okay. Any clock like a cube, that would be interesting to see. Okay. Any object in your house that looks like this. I'm not asking for a clock. Look at the shape. Any object that looks like this, just write, and Ankesh will help us with 3 to 4 answers.
Plate, mirror, bangle, frisbee, poster.
Great, great. Yeah.
Bottle lids.
Yeah. Okay. Anything that looks like this? Like my notebook, my AC remote. And think of something really crazy, like let's say one side of my tea light holder looks like this. It's a rectangle. Can you look for something which you rarely see before? Look in your house for something, a corner which you have never seen. Maybe cover of a book, screen of the laptop.
My mouse pad, matchbox, television, pillow cover, photo frame, holder.
Okay.
Doormat.
Okay. Now look for something like this, something smaller than your hand. Anything smaller than
Airport, eraser, cup.
Okay.
Coin.
An object with area less than 10 square centimeter. And you don't have to measure, use estimation. Any object with area less than 10 square centimeter.
Lipstick, ring.
Yeah.
Bluetooth device.
Okay.
Tin, Fevicol tube, bottle lid.
Anything in the house where the answer is 11. For example, one glass broke of my set. So I have 11 glasses in the cupboard. So anything where you say the answer is 11, it can also be the number of bottles in my fridge. It can also be multiple objects. All the objects together on my table are approximately 11. Like that, can you tell? The answer is 11. Or my child's age.
Spoon set, safety pin.
Okay.
Water bottles. Pens, my birth date.
Yeah.
Flowers.
Okay. A diamond-shaped object. For example, you can say Kaju ki barfi in the fridge. Anything else? Diamond-shaped object.
Bindi. Mirror.
Nice.
Then
again, think of something like, can you look at a corner in your room where you have never looked before?
My son's toy.
Okay.
Shakkar
Number
Panda.
8. Where is the number 8 in the house? It can be 8 as in 8 number. It can also be the shape of 8, which is approximately like 2 circles attached. Where is the number 8? Sorry?
And leaves in a clock. Calculator, clock.
Okay. So this is it. This is scavenger hunt. Okay. Something that has parallel lines. Can be so many things, no?
Door, tube light, windows wall, photo
Door,
frame.
window, tiles on the floor.
Shelves.
Okay. This is scavenger hunt. This is one way of scavenger hunt where you give the children lots of clues or lots of prompts, and they have to go around the house and find it. Another type of scavenger hunt is giving them a prompt, which is a little bit of a story. For example, hello, I love summer in Antarctica. It's so sunny, really, really sunny. On some days, the sun never sets at all. So today we had 24 hours of sunlight and 0 hours of darkness. Isn't that weird? What's the summer like where you live? How many hours of sunlight do you get each day? How many hours of darkness? How can you use this to connect children to their surroundings? How many hours of sunlight do you get each day? What are the maths topics that can be connected with this? And what can the kids do? What kind of an activity can they do? And we'll need help from Ankesh again.
Yeah. Ma'am, time and numbers.
Time, numbers.
Fraction.
Fraction.
Ordering, time zone, addition, ratio. Country.
Data handling, asking kids check the amount, check when the sun rises every day, check when the sun sets, how many hours the sun was out. Check this for 7 days, put it up as a pictograph or bar graph. So data. So the kids start noticing, when is the sun rising? Where is the sun rising from? Do I see it through the trees? Do I see it from the window? So it's again another way of connecting kids with the surroundings. Any other response here, Ankesh, that you would like to read out? Otherwise, I'll...
Temperature, positive and negative numbers.
Temperature, positive, absolutely. So much of math is connected with just checking the sunlight. Okay. Third is, you can prepare a scavenger grid, and I will show you what a scavenger grid looks like in a second. Scavenger grid is select a part of the home and design a grid with prompts, and then include a lot of questions for parents. For example, you can ask, parents can ask the children, how did you find that? If a child say, for example, I may ask you, find all the things which are circles. And if a child comes back with answers, and the parents may ask, how did you find this? Say things which are rectangles, things which are squares. What I did with you in the beginning also was the scavenger hunt. It can always be given like a grid. The grid which comes here in squares, and I will be sending you this PDF at the end of the session. It can be like a grid, or it can be like a fill in the blanks. Math scavenger hunt, what is more or less, or it can just be fill in the blanks. Generally, grid is what comes out really beautifully, that the kids will write all the things that are squares in this box, all the things which are circles here, all the things which are rectangle. And that is how the grid-based scavenger hunt runs. And what the teachers can add in it are questions, where if a child comes back with lots and lots of rectangles, some may be correct, some may be incorrect also, the parent can ask, how do you know this is true? How do you know that what you're calling a rectangle is a rectangle? Which part of the house did you find this? What is this all about? You know, where will you go for this object? So that way, a bit of a discussion between parents and children is where what I meant by bringing the family together, if the parents are comfortable with it. Otherwise, the teacher can ask the kids directly and the kids can go. So this scavenger grid is prepared by selecting any part of the home, indoor, outdoor. If the kids are living in a space where there are gardens or balconies, even outdoor can be chosen, and then design a grid with prompts. And this is the third way. Finally, use outdoors for scavenger hunt. This can be done in the school also. Schools which have a lot of space, as I've seen a lot of schools across India with beautiful spaces outside the school. And this is something which can be done, kids and parents. This is also something which can be done when the kids have gone camping with the teachers, with friends, or with parents. And let's see how this family is doing it. And any comments, please put it in the chat box. After this, I'll have a pause and Ankesh can help us in reading the comments.
one sword, one force.
What did you say?
Water things that are nothing, kind of changing stuff. What? 64? I'll put one of my two fingers on my two fingers.
Make it flat.
What do you call that?
164. Sizes are a little bit.
Like, so you would have pushed back up.
Hey everybody! She's a mathematics. She's a mathematics.
Yeah. Any thoughts?
Yes, ma'am. So
Yeah, we can pause
playful
here. We
learning,
can have as
experiential-
many as
Yep.
there are. Yeah.
Playful learning, experiential learning, learning by doing, active learning, self-reflection, application skills, critical thinking, and collaboration.
Motor skills, using the body. When the kids are showing the shapes, just adding that.
Yeah.
Are there more comments? Any questions, anyone?
Not yet, ma'am. Group learning, problem-solving skill, kinesthetic.
Kinesthetic, yeah. That's where use of body to find something.
Yeah.
And it's a simple activity. It won't take much time. This is being done by the teachers, and it can just be in the outdoors in the school for maybe 10 minutes, and scavenge for math in the surroundings. This can be with the scavenger grid. This can be without the grid. And it's just bringing the kids closer to the environment and getting them to move and to show that math is present all around. For example, one of my students, her parents said after these kind of activities, they said wherever we take her, she starts telling us, look, there's the curve, look, there's the line. And they say that she was never much interested in math. Now, in every situation, if we are driving, she'll look at the number of the car ahead of us and she will say, look, 9273, it adds up to this. This is divisible by this number. Or she would look at windows and say, here, there is a rectangle. She was having a laddu and she said, here, I'm having a sphere. So kids start noticing math around them, and math becomes a subject which is present in lives instead of a subject which is very abstract. That's the advantage. So here again, there's a pause. We have done 4 ways of doing scavenger hunting. Find things in your house, give a single prompt, prepare a scavenger grid, go outdoors for the hunt. Which one did you like the most and why? And let's hear here which one has been liked most by the audience today. Ankesh?
Yeah, ma'am. Scavenger grid, give a prompt. One, because it's very, give a prompt is, okay.
Let them respond, and maybe you can tell after 10-15 which is most popular and the reasons.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Outdoor activity is one that is more popular, and if I follow the chronology, the second one is the first one, because that's within the house.
Yeah, okay. So either go completely outside or inside. You can combine, find things in your house with the scavenger grid. So you can give them a scavenger grid and ask them to find things. Give a prompt is, yeah, I agree, slightly difficult. It leads to a project, and going outdoors is absolutely fun. Okay, what do you think are do's and don'ts of scavenger hunt? This is another pause. What is it that we should be careful of? What is it that we must do? And what is it that we should not do? Let's hear from the audience. Ankesh, thanks.
Yeah, waiting for the answers.
Yeah. Where do you think there are so many times we make an activity thinking that this is going to be really great and then it completely flops. So we have to be slightly present. We have to think ahead of time what can go wrong before we start any of the activities. So what are the things we should be careful of here?
Okay. Ma'am, is safety relevance to the topic?
Safety, absolutely, especially for smaller kids, not sending them where things like scissor and knife are around, or not sending them alone outside. Okay.
Instruction should be clear.
Absolutely. Always, always. Instruction should always be clear.
Equal opportunity to all the participants.
Yeah.
Pre-visit is essential.
Yeah, that's a very good point, especially for an outdoor activity. Visit it first and see that what is a good path to take and where is danger for the children.
One answer is making sure that all the students participate equally.
Okay, and how do we do that? How do we ensure that everyone participates? Can you share that also with us?
By giving each one different tasks to perform.
Yeah, and giving everyone a proper grid. Either they make it on paper, if printout is difficult, asking them to draw on paper, what are they finding? So basically, everybody has to come back with evidence of work. That evidence can be on paper. So for example, I asked the kids to go out and look for angles. So they went out with a paper and pencil and they actually drew on it. So one child drew tree and the branches and marked their acute angles on a tree. Another child drew the clouds and somehow convinced me that the clouds are actually made up of angles. So there should be always be some evidence of the work done. The evidence can also be objects. So we, let's say, went out to look for symmetric and non-symmetric leaves from leaves which have fallen on the ground. So we didn't want to pluck leaves or flowers. So the kids had to actually come back with leaves. Each and every child had to come back with something. So if there is something where you are ensuring that there is evidence of work, then everybody will be involved.
Yes.
Anything more, Ankish?
Ma'am, avoiding comparison.
Avoiding comparison, absolutely. And another thing I'd like to add, which we discovered very surprisingly, that parents are not always interested in participating. In fact, we discovered when in one of the companies, we designed a product called Math and Me, where we used a lot of scavenger hunting as part of the task. And we had instructions for parents. And because in corporates, user research or feedback from users is continuously taken, we actually got the feedback from parents that we don't have time for this. So we had to then modify our instructions for parents as if you have time, you could help your children in this or you could participate. But all our activities had to have two formats, open-ended or closed-ended with respect to parents. And we had to remove everything for small kids where it involved cutting because parents said we don't have time to do that. So check, because your parent group would not be as big as a corporate where there are like thousands and thousands of kids. So check with the parents, would you be interested in this activity, and give them the reason. The purpose of this is to get the kids emotionally closer to the house, the kids emotionally closer to each other, for the whole family to do something together. That would be the purpose. So once they understand the emotional reason behind it, perhaps they might be interested, because the activity is so much different when parents are involved. Anything else? Anything which you feel? Anything must have?
Only one response, that instructions must be clear in these kind of
absolutely
activities.
So instruction should be clear. For that, I will be giving you at the end of it, at the end of the session, with some sheets where the scavenger hunt activity is already designed. The instruction should be clear. There should always be, especially for smaller children, a grid which either you draw or kids draw. Be careful of safety. Involve parents if they are interested. Go and check if it's an outdoor activity being done in school. Go out and check whether it is a safe space. And if it is something which is being done at home, at least ask the parents that please make sure that the space is absolutely safe. And one last question, till which grade do you think this is suitable? Any answers here?
Till grade 8.
Till grade 8. But I think senior teachers, if there are creative ideas, it would be great if you can also try scavenger hunt. But yes, definitely till grade 8, this is possible. It can also be extended to find objects with volume 100 cubic meters in the house, or approximately 100 meter cube, for them to start estimating volume of the objects. So thank you for your answers. So here are the resources, and Vandana can share the link now with the teachers. This was supposed to be a very interactive and dialogue-based webinar. It was not really like a webinar. It was more like a conversation. So that's why I would say quite happy and quite grateful to the teachers who have responded and gave a lot of fantastic responses. And now finally, because scavenger hunt is not a very new idea, at least in the spaces that I have worked in and the teachers I work with. So very interested in knowing, what is the one new idea that you learned today for your students? And try and be a little specific. If you say, I learned about scavenger hunt, that's too generic. But if you say, I learned how to implement scavenger hunt, meanwhile, if Vandana, if you can share the link with the group, then you can even have a look at the kind of activity sheets which are possible for scavenger hunt, and then keep sharing. And we have Ankesh to help us with the answers. What is it that you have learned today? Yeah, thanks, Vandana.
Ma'am, reading some of the responses. Observation, maths and natures are very well connected.
Okay.
Making students active in all works. Activities for maths all around scavenger hunt. Maths is everywhere.
Okay, just 1 second. Let me rephrase the question. How will you use this in your classes? Would you be using this in the upcoming, or if the session has already started? And how will you use it? So there are 4 ideas given. How will you use this for your kids? That's what it means when we say, what is the one new idea you have learned today for your students? Yeah, Ankesh.
How to make maths interesting with real life situation.
Okay.
Measuring distance using hand from schools to my gate. Some of the real life examples. Making maths interesting with this idea.
Yeah.
Making teams and giving them tasks.
Okay. Now, all of these things can be done with so many different activities. What is so different about scavenger hunt that it makes it slightly different?
Sense of achievement, interactivities. It promotes observation.
Yes.
Everyone loves to explore.
Exploration, got it.
Connection between abstract and concrete.
Yeah, good answers are coming now.
Develop logic and reasoning skills.
How do you develop logic and reasoning via scavenger hunt?
Okay, ma'am. So one of the teachers have responded, when teachers teaching shape, hide objects of different shapes in and around the class and ask the student to hunt to give it by giving some clues.
Yeah, okay, okay. That's a great one. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing, teacher. Yeah. Great. This is a good group. Anything else? Otherwise, we can move
A lot of answers. We can ask them, why do they think it resembles a rectangle? So
amazing. Yeah. How do you know it resembles a rectangle? That will really sharpen the observation skill.
Yeah. One more response is by creating riddles around maths.
Yeah, that is also true. Okay. Are the resources shared, Vandana?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thanks. Thank you so much. Thanks, and teachers can have a look. So this was it. If you have seen the resources, if there are questions, thoughts, comments, feedback, since this is the last webinar, I'm leaving the last few minutes. If there are questions about anything under the sun on teaching math, it can be using scavenger hunt, it can be using the previous webinar topics, or anything under the sun. If you have any question for math, this is like an open house where you can ask anything that you want. My specialty is grades 6 to 10, but other grades also, primary grades also, please feel free, and we can just pause here and answer your questions, all of us. Or any thoughts, comments?
Ma'am, there are a few questions coming up. How can we apply it for higher grades?
Yeah, so higher grades, it would be a little different. From what I understand, by teaching grades 11 and 12, they also love activities like these. The concern for time is always there. So take any simple topic. Maybe you can take patterns, something that leads to arithmetic or geometric sequences, and maybe keep it very short. Keep it outdoors. If it could be a very basic topic, which is going to be taken in a bigger way in the class, but recap or revision of that topic can be done outdoors. Anything like, let's say, ratio or direct proportion, and just like a 5-minute hunt for something. That is how you can try.
Okay. Ma'am, there's a question. How can we teach student tables using maths concept? I mean, like scavengers or any other topic? Can there be a simplified method to teach tables?
Tables, I had taken it in the webinar before, so you will get a video in the resource list that Cambridge will send to you at the end of this. One of the best ways to do tables is actually not scavenger hunt, but be a little sporty or dancey. Dancey in the sense that connect it with a little bit of a body language, and all the kids use a rhythmic clapping. Along with that, they stand up, they move around, and they do the tables. Tables are boring for most of the kids. So to make them exciting, you'll have to connect it with either sports. That's it. In one of the schools, what we did was the kids went out, they threw the ball in the basket for the basketball court. And as they were throwing the ball, a question was being asked, or they were reciting the table. But the best strategy I found after sharing a lot of strategies with kids and then testing and getting their feedback was when we brought in body movement in the class, where kids use rhythmic clapping or some kind of a dance movement, very simple, and along with that, they did tables. The last feedback I had got from the teachers was that every day the kids come and they say, we want to do tables. So that's like just doing 5 minutes. The other way for tables is to, like homeopathy dose, just do it every day, 2 to 3 minutes every day. Have, okay, now I'm going to ask you questions and I'm going to ask anyone any question, kind of a thing, a bit dramatically. So the kids are like hyper alert in the class that man can ask us a question or sir can ask us a question anytime. So these are the two strategies.
Okay, I'm reading out the next question.
Yeah.
Can you suggest a simple math lab activity for grade 3, 4, 5 students?
Grade 3, 4, 5 students, math lab activity, but for which topic? Which do you want to do anything specific? Because scavenger hunt itself can be a very good math lab activity where they go around any room, either math lab or the classroom, with a grid, and they hunt for things. And with every object, a question can be added. How do you know that this is matching? For example, if they say a sugar cube looks like the cube in the grid, then how do you know it looks like it? So they'll have to describe that both have 6 faces, they have these many vertices, they have these many edges. The other math lab activity for 3, 4, 5, since they are beginning the solid shapes, can be actually to take templates and actually fold the paper and create those solid shapes, paint all the faces and hang them as mobiles. So many things are possible. They can simply measure the room, the edges, and find length and width, and then see how much is the perimeter of the room, how many of my hands fit on the side of the room. So it really depends on the topic.
Sure, thank you. Ma'am, the next question is, how can we teach expressions and equations in a fun and creative way?
Okay, that's a great question. I think many things which at least I've tried is I have done things like the answer is 7, make a question. So can you make an equation? How many different types of equations can you make where the answer is 7? And for expression, I'm going to give you a set of objects, make an expression using that. So for example, x, y, z, 2, 3, 7. How many different types of expressions can you make? Justify your answer. So if somebody says 7x cubed, y square, z to the power of 3, justify how is it an expression and not an equation. And if you say 2x plus 7 equal to 3, then how is that an equation and not an expression? The other way which I have seen turns every subject interesting is to bring cooperative learning in the class. So the kids work in groups of 4 to 5 to begin with. Afterwards, of course, they work alone and say, okay, for 15 minutes, you will work together. Let's see which group is able to crack maximum problems. And the condition is that everyone has to learn. So the kids teach each other, the kids ensure that everybody is learning. And the third way could be having group quizzes on expressions and equations. Hope this helps.
Thanks. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, the next question is, what are the different ways to assess students rather than traditional pen and paper test?
That's a great question. Even pen and paper tests can be really great, but you can ask questions like spot the error in the question instead of asking them to solve. The other way for easier tests is peer assessment. It can also be kids make the question. So for example, with peers, child A, child B, both are creating questions. For example, let's say integer multiplication. So child A creates 10 questions, child B creates 10 questions. They exchange notebooks, solve each other's questions, bring the notebooks back, and then correct the work of the peer and actually sign it. And they absolutely and thoroughly love signing and giving marks. That can be done. Informal assessment, they can be endless. Get them in working in the groups, and the teacher can observe based on a specific checklist in the sense, how much time is the group taking? How well is the group bonding? Are they working well as a team? Another way, which is always known, it's a popular way, is to giving them a project. So instead of directly giving a pen and paper test, giving them a simple project. For example, ratio, let's go out with a ruler and see, can I find height of this building without actually climbing it? So if you know the activity, if the sun is out, you use the ruler and its shadow, and a child stands in the child's shadow, and then you use ratio and proportion to find height of the child, and then you use that similar method to find height of the building also. So projects is another way that you can use. Show a video, give them some questions along with it, and then ask them to answer the questions when you watch the video. Some of the strategies.
Okay, ma'am, the next question is, can we improve writing skills in maths using scavenger hunt?
That's a great question. Why not? I think the question that somebody has suggested earlier, that when you say this is a rectangle and justify why is it a rectangle, that can be given in writing. And maybe scavenger hunt can be for fewer objects, then not 10, maybe for 3 objects. And the kids look for the objects and they come back, and then they have to justify why is it why is this a rectangle and it is not a cuboid or a circle. That can be given in writing. The other way to bring in writing in maths classes is to do journaling, that, what did I like about this? What did I not like about this? And maybe small children can just put stars, but slightly older kids who are good at the writing skills, they can write a proper journal, make a journal entry at the end of it saying that, okay, I liked it because this, or what did I learn from it? So for example, the question that I asked you before, this is the objective, to think, to make you think, to make you reflect. Now, I could have given this to you to give it to me in writing, and then it would be working on the writing skills.
Oh, ma'am, there are two set of questions. What is the proper way to give different assessment? Is it proper to give different assessment to different students in the same class, depending on their abilities to express themselves properly? Are there any fun ways to teach theorems of mathematics?
Okay, great. Both great questions. The first one is called differentiation of content, differentiation of assessment. It is used very widely in progressive classrooms. If your school is okay with it, then why not? I think that actually is considered as a very higher level educational strategy where you're differentiating the assessment for the kids. Second question, doing theorems in a fun way. This is the question that used to come in front of me a lot when I was teaching CBSE and ICSE, especially in grade 10, when they have, like, I think every theorem under the sun possible. I remember what one of the girls did. She was a dyslexic child, so remembering so many theorems and words was very difficult for her, but she was a musician. She turned every theorem into a song and she set it to music. She played guitar and she sang it. Now, that is an extreme example because she knew how to play a guitar. But maybe children can convert every theorem into a poem, a song, a kind of a visual prompt, if they are good at visual prompts, or few keywords which they can mix and match and remember, convert it into flashcards game. Every theorem has a visual prompt. Put all of them on cards, and that's like a flashcard game that you can create, or by and large, I would say let the kids create and play it. So you can use game-based learning, you can use visual models, you can use music in the class. That's a way to remember the theorems. And all these are tried by the kids when I used to teach. The kids tried and they were successful.
Ma'am, are there any tricks to learn table quickly or do calculation quickly for 1 to 4 grade student?
I think I answered this when I said for tables to bring in dance and in the class, rhythmical clapping. When you get the resources from Cambridge, which Vandana will be sending you a document, you will be getting, there will be one video in it. Calculation, again, like I answered before, like homeopathy dose, every day there should be 2 to 3 minutes mental math in the class. And it can be anytime. The kids should not know when will the teacher say, okay, guys, now it's time for some mental math, and start bombarding them with questions. Anybody, ask anybody, what is 3 plus 11? What is 11 plus 22? What is 1 and 9? What is 8 and 3? Is 8 into 11, is it right or wrong? So for 2 to 3 minutes, the whole objective is to create such a buzz in the class that they become very, very, very alert. And when we are alert, our energies are high in the brain and we grasp faster. And if you do it day after day after day, or even let's say any 3 days in the week, and the kids don't know when it's going to happen, they will be very alert that you can ask anytime. You can also ask the parents to do something similar at home, that if the parents are, whenever they are with the kids, can they play something like a 20-question game where each of them asks the other questions on calculations? That is also another possibility. Good question, because kids are losing their grip on mental maths, it seems.
And the last question maybe, how to make them understand the operations to be used in word problems on their own?
Okay, great question. I think this requires a whole webinar on its own, solving word problems. One of the ways is keywords, that give them or put posters in your class on the walls of keywords. And what are the keywords used for addition? Can anyone tell me, how do I know in this word problem I have to use addition? So there are keywords like sum, total, altogether, and these keyword posters are all available on Google. If you just Google keyword posters for operations, you will get them. The other way is to ask, I think it should be made mandatory to solve word problems using either bar model or using any other visual. So the kids actually draw. For example, even in grade 9, when we had questions of upstream and downstream, I used to myself and then my kids used to actually draw a little river, little boat going upstream, downstream. It makes the problem relatable to the kids. And as they are drawing, if it's really, let's say, a small question like there are 3 birds on a tree and 3 more join them, how many are there? If they actually draw a little tree, doesn't have to be a great art piece, can be a very shabby, scrubby drawing in the notebook with a pen or a pencil. And then they draw 3 birds and then they draw 3 more and then just know that we have to add them. So one of the ways is keywords. The other way is that the kids draw. And the third, which is the most noisy and time-consuming way, would be if the kids can act it out. So once in a while, take a word problem and ask a couple of kids to act it out. And say, okay, 3 birds came and then 3 more came. So what are we using here? Are we using addition or subtraction? And that's the third way. And the last and final way is to get the kids to create word problems. Give them some clues. Say, I want you to create a word problem using the numbers 31, 22, a tree, a bench, and any of the operations that you know. So as they create word problems, and then the word problems can also be exchanged between kids and they solve each other. So you also get the kids to solve math problems, which is so important for the abstraction. So these are the 4-5 ways. By and large, among these, according to research, the one that works most is to get the kids to draw. For every word problem, draw and solve. Hope this helps.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the wonderful session. That brings us to the end of this entire Maths Masterclass webinar series. I hope you all enjoyed the session as much as we enjoyed it putting it together for you. A few instructions before we part. I'm just pausing the chat for a moment so that you can all make a note of the feedback form that is posted on the chat. My colleague Vandana is posting the feedback form link. In case you miss out capturing the feedback link, there would be a follow-up mail that would be sent tomorrow. You can access the feedback link from there as well. Do submit your feedback because that would be a basis for you to get a certificate for the entire Maths Masterclass webinar series. We will be announcing more such series in days to come. So do follow us on our social media channels so that you are updated with the upcoming webinar sessions. The next one would be on science, English, and mathematics going forward. So do follow us on the social media channel. Our Facebook link will also be posted on the chat. I will request my colleague Vandana to post the Facebook link, social handle link on the chat so that you can follow the link. And in case you have any feedback other than once you submit on the feedback form, any open-ended feedback for us to take up further sessions on any of the subjects, maybe maths or any other topic that you would like to have a webinar on, do share your feedback there so that you can bring us, we will be able to bring us such more topics to you. That's it. Regarding the certificates, we'll be starting the distribution of certificates from Monday. So you can expect at least 3 or 4 days for you to receive the certificates because there's an overwhelming response and we have to churn it out around 1,200 to 1,500 certificates for the entire session. So do expect a delay. Maybe by Wednesday next week, you'll be receiving all your certificates. In case you do not receive it, do mail us at schools@cambridge.org and we'll be more than happy to assist. Thank you for your time and thank you for joining. Thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful session.
Thank you. Thank you. Especially those who attended all the webinars. Thank you. I hope these ideas are useful and bless you all for the work that you're doing. Thank you.